What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about actor and comedian Faizon Love because a recent court hearing has the internet buzzing after several personal and financial claims were discussed in open court. Now, before we get started, remember this is a discussion of allegations, courtroom arguments, and statements made by the people involved. These claims have been presented in legal proceedings, and they should not be treated as established facts unless proven. With that out of the way, this hearing wasn't just about child support. It quickly turned into one of the most talked about celebrity court appearances of the year. According to statements made during the hearing, Faizon Love told the court he was struggling financially. He said he had very little money in his bank account, claimed he was living with a friend who helped cover his expenses, and argued that he wasn't working consistently enough to meet the financial obligations being discussed. His legal team maintained that his income had dropped significantly and argued that his financial disclosure reflected his current situation rather than what he may have earned in previous years. On the other side, attorneys representing the child's mother challenged those claims. They argued that Faizon Love continues to earn money from comedy appearances and entertainment work and suggested that his financial situation was being portrayed differently than what the available records indicated. That disagreement became one of the biggest moments of the hearing. According to the attorney, comedy appearances can bring in substantial income, and prosecutors presented arguments that garnishments had already been collected from some of those performances. Naturally, that raised the question, is Faizon Love truly experiencing financial hardship, or is this simply a dispute over how his income should be calculated? That's one of the major issues the court will ultimately have to sort out. But the financial arguments weren't the only reason people started talking. The hearing gained even more attention because of comments made outside the courtroom and interviews that began circulating online. Those personal claims spread rapidly across social media, adding another layer of controversy to an already emotional legal dispute. Whether those outside statements have any impact on the legal case remains unclear, but they certainly fueled public discussion surrounding the situation. At this point, the legal process is still ongoing, and the court, not social media, will determine the outcome. So in today's video, we're breaking down what was argued in court, what each side is claiming, and why this case has suddenly become one of the biggest celebrity legal stories making headlines. Let's get into it. One of the biggest moments from the hearing centered on money. Faizon Love's legal team argued that his current financial situation is nowhere near what many people assume just because he's a recognizable actor. According to statements made in court, they claimed he wasn't regularly employed, had very little money available, and was relying on a friend to help cover his living expenses. The defense also argued that the financial affidavit reflected his situation at the time it was filed, not what he may have earned in previous years or what future work might eventually pay. But the other side wasn't buying that explanation. Attorneys representing the child's mother argued that Faizon Love continues to earn significant income through comedy performances and entertainment appearances. They claimed that while acting jobs may come and go, live comedy shows remain a consistent source of income. According to the arguments made in court, they said previous garnishments had already been collected from comedy performances, suggesting that those appearances generated substantial pay. That immediately changed the conversation. Instead of simply asking whether Faizon Love had money today, the discussion shifted toward whether his earning ability was being accurately represented. The attorneys also argued that being between jobs doesn't necessarily mean someone has no income, especially if they regularly book performances throughout the year. Naturally, the defense pushed back. They maintained that entertainment income is unpredictable. One month may include several shows, while another month could have none at all. They argued that temporary gaps between jobs shouldn't automatically be interpreted as an attempt to avoid financial obligations. That's why this hearing became so complicated. Both sides were presenting two completely different pictures of the same financial situation. One side argued they were looking at real earnings over time. The other argued they were looking at a snapshot of someone's finances during a particularly difficult period. As the hearing continued, the courtroom became increasingly tense. The judge listened as both sides challenged each other's interpretation of the financial records, payment history, and employment situation. Outside the courtroom, the story quickly exploded across social media. People weren't just debating the legal issues anymore. They were asking a much bigger question. How can someone who's appeared in major Hollywood films end up telling a court they're struggling financially? For many viewers, that was the most surprising part of the entire hearing. It also sparked a broader conversation about how unpredictable careers in the entertainment industry can be. Many actors become famous from a handful of successful projects, but fame doesn't always translate into long-term financial security. Movie roles slow down. Television appearances become less frequent. Income becomes inconsistent. And in many cases, performers rely heavily on touring, stand-up comedy, conventions, guest appearances, and other live events to continue earning money. Whether that's ultimately what happened here is something the court will continue evaluating as the case moves forward. For now, both sides remain firmly committed to their positions, and this legal battle appears to be far from over. No matter where you stand on this situation, one thing is clear. This case has sparked a lot of discussion both inside and outside the courtroom. Right now, we've heard arguments from both sides, but it's important to remember that court filings, testimony, and attorney arguments are only part of the legal process. The court will ultimately decide what weight to give the evidence and the competing claims. As more hearings take place and new documents become public, there's a good chance we'll learn even more about this case. If any major updates happen, you already know I'll be here covering every development and breaking it all down. Now I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on everything that came out during the hearing? Do you think the court will side with Faizon Love's explanation of his financial situation, or do you think the opposing side made the stronger case? Drop your opinion in the comments below, but keep the conversation respectful. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more updates on hip-hop, Hollywood, celebrity court cases, and breaking entertainment news, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.